Hello guys and welcome to my Explosive Arrow Balista Totem Hierophant League Starter Guide. What an introduction, right? But seriously, why would you play a Hierophant, right? We have the Witch with 100% chance to ignite as an Elementalist and great exposure, the Duelist with tankiness and 100% chance to hit. Why would you play a Hierophant? Well, the main reason is because I want to reroll to a different build later on without having to level up a new character. And from all the builds I've checked out for the Hierophant, Explosive Arrow just seemed the most solid to me. I've played Explosive Arrow quite a few times and I really enjoy it. It helps you a lot to get your early watchstones. It enables you to clear T15 or 16 maps even early on without too much gear. It's just in general a great build, and of course with Sanctums coming back, you know, Explosive Arrow Balista Totems always performed exceptionally well in Sanctum. So yeah, you can find a link to the POB that you see here in the description of the video if you want to follow along or check it out yourself. And generally speaking, this guide is more aimed for newer players. So if I explain stuff or anything is a bit too simple or over-explained, then yeah, you know why. Okay, let's jump right into it, I would say. Okay, let's take a look how we are going to level the build. Now, in the very early game, we are going to use a Rolling Magma. You get Rolling Magma after you kill Hillock and then talk to Tarkley in town. He offers you Rolling Magma as a reward. Just pick that and link it to Elemental Proliferation that you already have from the very beginning as a support gem. If you are lucky and you are able to find a free link that has all blue sockets in the very early game, that's perfect. Make sure to stash that and, you know, or equip it even better. But for now, in the very early game, we're not going to link anything else. Now, we managed then to get through the coast. You managed to get through Mudflat successfully, you opened the passage, you ported back, you killed the guy with the medicine chest in Tidal Island, and you go back to town to get your gems. First of all, talk to Nessa to get Arcane Search as a reward and put that in the 3 link if you have one. If you don't, do not stress out, that's absolutely fine. We then talk to Tarkley, and Tarkley is going to offer us either Holy Flame Totem or Flame Wall as a reward. Depending on what skill gem you choose as a reward, you will have to talk to Nessa to buy the other one. In the end, Tarkley also offers us Frostblink, which you should take. Ideally, now you are going to have the setup Rolling Magma, Elemental Proliferation, Arcane Search, Frostblink, and Holy Flame Totem and Flame Wall. You then will continue your journey until you reach the lower prison. Once you enter the lower prison, you can go back to town and Nessa is going to reward you with the Combustion support gem. You can now replace Arcane Search with Combustion and link Arcane Search that you have now unlinked with your Frostblink. You can also, if you have the necessary links, link added lightning damage to Flame Wall and Holy Flame Totem, but again that is absolutely not necessary. Now let's take a look at the tree. As you can see, we go and take the elemental nodes, we take Retribution, we also take Holy Dominion, some life and some dexterity and increased attack and cast speed, as well as accuracy rating, which will come in handy later on. And that was pretty much everything for Act 1. Okay, then let's come to Act 2. Now, let's take a look at the future points passives that we are going to pick. We are going to pick Elemental Overload. That's going to help you quite a lot with your damage. As soon as a skill does a critical strike, it then deals 40% more elemental damage. Amazing, amazing, amazing skill and passive, I should say. I can only recommend to take that as early as possible. We're also gonna take the life wheel as well as the plus 50 to maximum life, just to make our character a bit more tanky. Now let's go over to the skills. The skills pretty much stay the same in Act 2. The only thing that we are going to add is Herald of Ash and Herald of Thunder. Now, after you got the Baleful Gem in the Chamber of Sins, you then can talk to the male vendor in town in Act 2, and he will offer you a reward. You can either pick Herald of Ash or Herald of Thunder, and will then have to buy the other one from the vendor in town. And that's pretty much nearly everything for Act 2. The only thing that I have to add is that after killing the spider, you get offered a support gem as a reward. Make sure here to pick elemental damage with attacks because it can be useful later on. Okay, and that was pretty much everything you need to know about Act 2. Let's go to Act 3. Okay, let's take a look at Act 3. Let's take a look at the talent points first. Now, as you can see, we went to the left and we grabbed Holy Fire. And we also grabbed the Fire Mastery that grants us that critical strikes do not inherently ignite, but we do 100% increased damage with hits against ignited enemies. And this is so good. In combination with Elemental Overload, this increases your damage by such a large amount. It really is incredible. One thing I have to really mention here. Please, for the love of God, do not choose and pick Ancestral Bond too early. If you do, it breaks your entire build if you are not ready for the switch to the Explosive Arrow Balista Totem setup. So please, please, please do not spec this node too early. It will break your build and you will have a really, really bad time. We also grabbed these both attributes passives here, and I want to mention, and then we talk about attributes right now, I want to mention something else as well. Under items, I put some default gear that you might want to acquire during the first two acts. This includes a Jade Amulet and a Heavy Belt. Now, if you haven't found a Jade Amulet yet, that is absolutely no problem, because in Act 3 you will get, after doing a quest for the ally, she will offer you a bunch of different, amulets as a reward, and you can just pick the Jade Amulet there. So do not stress out if you haven't found a Jade Amulet yet, but finding a Heavy Belt is really, really nice. If you don't find one, haven't found one, you can, I think you can just buy one in town for cheap. It's probably white, but just throw an essence on it or something, and yeah, it will have, probably benefit you quite a bit. Okay, let's go over the skills for Act 3. In the early part of Act 3, everything is pretty much the same. The only thing that we are still going to add is the Flammability Curse. We are dealing a lot of fire damage, so of course it makes sense for us to lower the enemy fire resistance. You get this after you pushed away and made Piety flee in the fiery prison. I'm not sure what the zone is called, but basically you then it's the first thing you do in Act 3. So don't worry, you don't stress out. You're gonna find out. You get this as a reward in town from the woman. Okay, let's go over the switch, which is the important and nice part, right? I'm excited about. What is important? What do I need to pay attention to when I want to switch to Explosive Arrow? Well, first of all, you should have completed the library quest, right? That means you found all the 4 golden pages, and the guy, I forgot his name right now, but he's in the library. He gives you the quest to find the 4 pages, and if you give him the 4 pages, he offers you a reward. From all the reward gems, you can pick Burning Damage Support. It's the only one that really is ever possibly going to benefit us, so yeah, just pick that one. And at this point, you have to make sure that you have the necessary currency items. As you can see under notes, I've written down the currency items that you need to make the transition happen. It's really, really important that you have 1 orb of chance at this point. If you haven't found one yet, I'm afraid you will not be able to make the change yet. You can try to get your friends, maybe they have 1 extra, right, and that they can give you. You can try to trade for an orb of chance, but if you do not have that orb of chance, you will not be able to buy Explosive Arrow from him. So please, please, please make sure to have orb of chance before you spec, for example, Ancestral Bond, and are not able to deal damage yourself anymore. So yeah, as you can see, we're gonna buy Explosive Arrow, we're gonna buy the Balista Totem support, we're gonna buy Precision, we're gonna buy Lesser Multiple Projectiles 2 times, we're gonna buy Frenzy, Culling Strike, and Determination. And in total we need 1 orb of chance, 4 orb of transmutation, and 3 orb of alteration. If you're not the fastest player and not a speedrunner, and you picked up quite a few items and sold them to the vendor, etc., it shouldn't be a problem, and you should definitely have 4 orb of transmutation and 4 alterations by now, no problem. Again, only the orb of chance is a bit depending on RNG, but yeah, I'm pressing my thumbs, I'm wishing you the best for finding an orb of chance early on. Okay, so let's take a look at these skills now. Ideally, you will have a 4-link setup by now. If you do not, that is absolutely fine 2. What we are going to do is we are going to link Explosive Arrow with the Balista Totem support. This is essential, right? And even if you only have a 3 link, you can then, depending on the color of the last socket, link something different with it. But for now, I'm going to focus on a 4-link setup that you will probably ideally have at this point. Now let's say we have 2 green, 1 red and 1 blue, which is quite common, I believe. I will then socket in Explosive Arrow, Balista Totem, Combustion, and of course lesser multiple projectiles. And again, depending on the socket colors that you have available, you will then choose the appropriate support gem to make sure that you have a complete 4-link setup. We are also still using Frostblink. It doesn't have to be linked to Arcane Surge anymore because we do not really benefit from Arcane Surge at this point besides the mana regeneration. And we are going to use Frenzy and link that in a 3-link ideally. If you do not have a 3-link, that's absolutely fine as well. I would then probably, depending on your preference, either link it to lesser multiple projectiles, which makes it easier to hit and get these frenzy charges up, or to link it with Culling Strike to make the boss die a little bit faster. In terms of auras, at this point we're using Determination as well as Precision. Determination to give us some armor so we're a bit tankier, and Precision so we're actually able to hit the enemy because we need accuracy. A big problem is always accuracy if you're not playing a duelist. And of course flammability as well. Always make sure that you curse, especially tougher enemies like rares or bosses. Make sure to curse them. It lowers their fire resistance and it makes them, makes it easier to ignite them because enemies that are cursed with flammability have a plus 25% chance to being ignited. Okay, and that's pretty much it. If you have your setup going, right, if you have that 4-link with Explosive Arrow and Balista Totem support, you can then link your Ancestral Bond, you can then choose and skill Ancestral Bond to make sure that you have that +1 number of summoned totems. To be fair, it felt a bit clunky until I got my first Labyrinth Ascendancy point. And of course, you are going to go for Pursuit of Faith. It gets that +1 number to maximum summon totems. You'll be able to summon 5 totems already at around level 30. That's really, really awesome. And that 100% increased totem placement speed, it feels so good. It makes everything feel super smooth. But okay, let's take a look at the way that you're going to progress the build further. At 48 points, we are then continue to grab the aura cluster. We are also taking the note that increases the effect that auras have on ourselves, and ideally, no, not ideally, but depending on personal preference, whether you want damage or attributes, etc. It also depends on the FXs you have on your gear. If you have a lot of attributes on your gear, you might grab the Acromony Mastery first here, but again, as we do not really have that 100% chance to ignite very early on, it's not really that ultra important, but again, it gives you some nice damage over time multiplier so that your ignites do a bit more damage. Otherwise, we are pathing down here up to Constitution. Again, much more tankiness, gives us life, we live longer, which is awesome, and we get quite a number of attributes here, especially strength. At 64 points, we also grab the Mana Mastery and Battle Rouse, especially for that 12% increased mana reservation efficiency of skills. Now, under notes, as you see, I also wrote down later, you can buy the Malevolence Aura Gem for 1 alteration. And that really allows you to deal more damage over time. And as soon as you have that Mana Mastery and of course the Aura Reel here, you are then able to activate the Determination, Malevolence, and of course Precision. But depending on your level, the level of your Precision, because Precision doesn't take a percentage amount of mana, it's a flat amount, you might have to link Life, Flame Dash and Flammability to Life Tap support so that you're still able to cast it even though you have a low amount of mana. We are also going to path further down here. Now, something at this point, and that you maybe heard about when you played Explosive Arrow before, is that you never want to have fire damage on your gear somewhere because that bricks the build. Up to this point, it didn't matter. The only reason why it would matter actually, is because of this node. Because this node causes damage that you deal inflict exposure to the different type of element. So for example, if I would deal fire and lightning damage, then only cold exposure would be applied. But if I deal lightning damage, then cold and fire damage would be applied. So exposure, I mean. So make sure that you have no fire damage on your gear as soon as you click that mastery here and activate and choose that mastery. But for now, we're going with Avatar of the Hunt. Gives us increased damage, movement speed, and more increased damage. Really, really nice. As a second talent, let's go further to 76 points. As a second ascendancy talent, I decided to go with Conviction of Power for the endurance charges. Bit more tankiness, but it's absolutely down to your personal preference. You can of course go for Ritual of Awakening as well. It's more damage, but again, doesn't really give you that much tankiness. A bit of regen, but yeah, 4 endurance charges is quite powerful, so do not underestimate endurance charges, please. Now let's take a look at the further pathing here. As I said, we're going to take Elemental Equilibrium. Do not have any fire damage anywhere in your gear or you will be very unhappy. We are grabbing Burning Brutality as well. Of course, we are going with the chance to ignite as we want to reach that 100% chance to ignite. We grab Bravery and Art of the Gladiator and we path down. Following that, we continue to path down, we grab Golem's Blood and then path towards Ironwood. Make sure to take the right side of the wheel with totem damage and increase attack speed, etc. Let's go to 100 points. As you can see, we completed and got Ironwood, and we also grabbed the Totem Mastery that makes 5% of the damage that we take be taken from our Totem life instead of ours. And we continue also to path to the right side up to Finesse. It gives us attack speed, which is great, accuracy rating, which is really great because if we do not be, if we're not able to hit the enemy, we don't do any damage, as well as plus 22 dexterity. Now at this point you're around level 77, so you're done with the campaign by a mile, and let's take a look at the third talent. So as you can see, of course, the third talent in a sense was Ritual of Awakening, and I've already selected the fourth one. And as we do not really get anything from Arcane Blessing nor Divine Guidance, I then, and very often people do that, decide to just go with the smaller nodes, which give us at least some mana regeneration. Okay. After that, we then are going to grab One with Nature, Quick Step, as well as Intuition, Heart of Oak, some more life by picking Profane Chemistry. We grab Reflexes as well, and Mage Bane. As you can see, we already have a spell suppression chance of 53%, and I don't even have any gear equipped whatsoever, so it's really easy to get to that 100% spell suppression. I also skilled some basic jewel sockets here that you can put in some jewels and that give, for example, maximum life or resistances or damage over time multiplier, depending on what stat you want to have. At this point, I then also decided to skill Acrimony, and I just went with the increased damage over time multiplier here if we killed recently. Depending on the attributes that you have on your gear, you might want to unspec these nodes as well and have these 2 extra talent points that you can spend somewhere else. At this point, I would really suggest you to either, if you want to increase your damage, go to clusters and may start using clusters. But again, explaining all this would be way beyond the scope of this video. This really only served to give you a small introduction of how you can league start as an explosive arrow Hierophant and what you need to pay attention to. And yeah. That's pretty much all I have to say. If you have any questions, if you're interested in the gear that you might want to acquire, etc., I can make a video about that too, but really this only served as a very small introduction on how you can league start as a Hierophant explosive arrow ballista totem build. So I really hope that you will have great fun playing the new league, and yeah, let me know what you think. Do you like it? Does it look exciting to you? What do you think about this like TFT auto chess league mechanic? Be very excited to know. Again, thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a great league start. See ya!